Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of Homeschool Moms Unfiltered. I'm your host, Amanda, and my awesome co-host is...
Hello, I'm Meagan.
Hey, hey. All right, so we are your source for messy, imperfect homeschool advice and community. And we are truly so glad you found us.
Yes, we are. So we are a secular and progressive podcast. And if you've been homeschooling for longer than, say a minute, you know how hard it is to find people who think that other human beings, all of them, deserve equal rights.
Yeah, or, other super bonkers concepts like the earth is round, dinosaurs really existed millions of years ago, gravity is real, and vaccines save lives, and all kinds of other fun stuff. It really is almost impossible for me to wrap my head around the fact that these are examples we give as a kind of like bat signal to find our people. I mean, it is 2025 and we have access to more information than ever before. And yet we have more and more people arguing that facts are just your opinion and their opinions hold just as much weight as scientifically proven facts. And I am losing my damn mind.
Yeah, so true. I mean, I was talking to somebody here in Portugal the other day, a Portuguese person, I will specify because there are plenty of Americans who live here as well. But she was very well versed in American politics. So she was talking to me about some Trump stuff. And then it was adorable because she was full on fangirling over Mamdani. And so we were just having this whole dynamic conversation. It was really fun. But we happened to be standing in front of a green door while we were chatting. And I was saying to her that it has gotten so bananas that I can say something like, that door is green. And the other side goes, that's not a door, right? It's not even like we're arguing about the color of the door at this point, which would have been the old kind of analogy or joke that people would have used to say, oh, we don't see things the same way. I mean, we're not even acknowledging that it's a door at this point. So it's hard to have conversations with other people when you're really sitting there going like, are we on the same planet? What's happening here? Right?
Yeah, no, for real. But the nice thing is, here, you won't have to have those conversations. In the Homeschool Mom Unfiltered universe, we are grounded in reality and facts and the scientific method, and we believe experts, and I could go on and on. So, if we are suggesting a history curriculum, it won't ramble on and on about what a brave and intrepid explorer Columbus was. Looking at you, Tuttle Twins. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about patience and homeschooling. And it is an interesting link. So often when you tell people you homeschool, they're like, oh, I'd never have the patience. Or people say, oh, I wish I could, but I just don't have the patience. Or how can you spend so much time with your children? Ugh. So it got us thinking, where did that correlation come from? And honestly, like, what's up with that?
Yeah, exactly. So before we dive in though, because I'm excited for this convo, but before we dive in, we start every episode with a weekly recap. Amanda knows, because I DM her regularly, that not much grinds my gears like these phony ass influencers who show up in full glam with a blowout in a fancy dress in their green screen house. It's not even a real house behind them. It's their perfect kitchen or their perfect bookshelf that they've superimposed behind them. And they're coming there with all of their wisdom to tell you how to homeschool. And I'm like, just like, shut up, please. Stop it. You don't even live in reality. Just stop it. So we kick off all of our episodes with the good, the bad, and the utter shit show side of our lives, because anyone who only shows you the shiny, perfect side is full of crap. So how's your week been, Amanda?
Well, it wasn't this week, but talking about that, it totally reminds me of a couple weeks ago, my husband's corporate holiday party came up, and he has recently applied for an internal job that would maybe be a promotion, maybe just be a much bigger headache. And he doesn't really want it, but he doesn't also want a new boss. And so it's a whole thing. And it was like, okay, well, we have to go to the corporate party and do the schmoozing. And it very much felt like if anyone has watched Big Bang Theory, especially if you've rewatched it recently, and there's the whole thing where there's the tenured professor who passes away, and Penny goes with Leonard and she takes off her coat and she's very voluptuous in her black morning dress. And it's like, what's Penny going to do? And like, Penny's going to whatever. It was kind of one of those moments. And I had a very lovely evening gown that had been tailored to fit me very nicely. But I also had pneumonia. And I was like, no one would have any idea how awful I felt because every time I was like, I think I'm going to die and I can't possibly do this, I'd pull out my phone and be like, oh, I'm just texting with my son who's home alone. Give me just a minute. And I'd look down at my phone and be like, I'm going to die. This is awful. I'm like, okay, fix your face, take a deep breath. And then I'd put it away and be like, oh, hi, yeah, with a great big smile, like I can power through for a few more minutes. That's the reality that we talk about here. You get to see both sides. So yeah, it's a good start. Pneumonia for December. Lots of other things going on. Not really the time for pneumonia, but you can't actually schedule that in. I've tried. It's like I come when I want to come. My folks came to visit. Also a wonderful time to have pneumonia. But the good news is we take a holiday break. We take about 3 weeks off between like holidays and my kiddo's birthday and my husband's birthday, my brother's birthday, but I don't have to do much for that anymore because he doesn't live in state. And so yeah, we just really take it off and chill and relax as much as you can when you're also planning birthday parties for everyone in your family. So yeah, I'm just yeah. Yep, that's where
There you
we
go.
are.
Good times.
How about you? What's going on?
Well, our dishwasher saga is finally over. If you've been listening, our dishwasher broke and it went out in a blaze of glory. Like it blew the power for our entire apartment and then flooded our kitchen. So it really was like, I quit. So then we had another dishwasher that was scheduled to be delivered, but they said they couldn't find a parking space. And so they didn't come. And we do live in the heart of Lisbon on one of the busiest streets. But I was like, it was also end of day on a Friday. And so it felt kind of like, I don't feel like schlepping a dishwasher up 3 flights of stairs right now. So we're just going to say we couldn't find a parking space. And then we had trouble getting it reordered. And when I say we, I mean the landlord. She was updating me. Got a new one reordered. It was supposed to come yesterday. It got supposedly delivered to a wrong address. Now, again, yesterday it was like a monsoon. So I'm not quite sure. So anyway, we finally got a new dishwasher today. So we're all very, very excited. So that's good. I also cried today. So it's been like a bit of a high and a low, I mean, every once in a while you just are like, but I do feel a little bit better after I cried. So that works. Sometimes that helps.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
No, I always feel better after a good cry. I mean, actually,
yeah.
that's only partly true. I don't know about you, but I'm totally one of those people that when I have really big emotions, I need to sleep to reset.
Mm,
So I always feel better after a big cry and then a nap,
a good
and then I
nap.
feel
Yeah.
great.
I haven't gotten that far. Mine involved yelling, cursing, and crying all at the same time while on the
Uh,
phone with my husband. And so
yeah.
I kind of just like was limp noodled after that. But yeah, I think a good night of sleep tonight should be good. And then hopefully tomorrow I'll hit the reset button on some stuff that's stressing me out. So there's that. And I'm working on making a winter coat, which I'm pretty excited about. I went to the fabric store yesterday and I got this really nice tweedy kind of outside fabric and then like a really pretty monochromatic striped lining. And I'm going to go pea coat style that's like mid-length. So I'm pretty excited about that. I've needed like a nice winter coat and I just haven't been able to find anything that I really liked. And so I was like, I will just make it myself then. So yeah, that'll be, I think, over kind of the Christmas week and the New Year's week. That'll be my project is to kind of get that made and I'll be all set. So, all is well. I mean, it's just kind of
Nice.
ho hum with a dishwasher and some crying. Like it's all fine. It's good. No shiny blowout.
And a soon to be creative project. Creative projects are always
Yeah.
nice when you can actually like just kind of focus your energy and settle yourself as long as
Mhm.
it's a calming creative project. For me, I'm usually like, why did my stupid sewing machine jam again? Which is less calming.
There might be some of that involved. We shall see. It'll be good. I'm looking forward to it. Anyhow, Let's talk patience. So I recently had this conversation with someone in the family who was like, "Oh, I wish I had the patience to homeschool because I think I would love it." And I was like, you don't need patience to homeschool. So yeah, let's talk about it. Spoiler alert. So Oxford defines patience as the capacity to accept or tolerate, delay problems or suffering without becoming annoyed or anxious. For me, it would be hard to tell my regular everyday anxiety apart from lack of patience related anxiety. So we'll see what we come up with while we chat today.
Yeah. And now we are going to talk about all kinds of things. I will say from the top that I do think you need some level of patience to be able to homeschool. Going back to the Big Bang Theory, I don't think you should be Bernadette and homeschooling. That's probably, you're going to end up with a kid way more messed up than Howard if you're a Big Bang Theory person. But the main thing is, it's not like sainthood level patience that you need. Let's start by talking about where this myth generally comes from. The roots of this quote unquote patience expectation, right, is again like a sainthood narrative. The teacher is a saint, the all patient mother is a saint. There's these gendered expectations of motherhood and all of the things that go along with that, from unlimited capacity for mental load and just all of these things. And yet you're supposed to smile more if you smiled more. These all go into this expectation. Social media doesn't help. There's the gentle parenting and gentle homeschool aesthetic, and this everything is calm and neutral colors, and I'm a gentle parent, and I always say this, and everything is always perfectly organized and perfect clean. I don't know the last time my home was cleaned, probably before the pandemic. Okay, let's be real. Back when I had a cleaner who came in before the pandemic and she helped keep my home clean, that was the last time it was clean. Also, a lot of times it comes with the assumption that homeschooling is calm because it's voluntary, right? Like, oh, I got to do this and I'm living my best life. And look, you may be living your best life, but you might be living your best life while cursing as well. And even though the assumption that homeschooling is always voluntary, some people get dragged into it at the last moment, as the last resort. There are all kinds of things and outside factors that can play into it that make you maybe reluctantly, voluntarily homeschooling. It doesn't have to always be this like, wow, it's the most beautiful thing in the world. We talked about it before in another episode a long time ago, but like kind of our birth experience and how everyone is always like, oh, it's the most beautiful and you're holding this baby. And it's like, and I was like, I looked at my baby and I was like, so I have to take care of this thing, huh? Like I can't even sit up yet. Like I
Yeah.
have to lean on one elbow in bed, but sure. It's amazing. You know, like it's not always angels singing, all of that. And it's the same parenting, homeschooling, all of it. It's not angels on high, okay? Patience gets framed as a personality trait, not a resource, not a skill. And that's the problem. Okay, now, disclaimer, just to be super clear before we go forward, this episode is not about normalizing consistent yelling or harm or abuse. We do want to normalize being a normal person with normal feelings and emotions. This episode is about letting go of moralizing or demonizing your emotions. It's about replacing guilt with tools, actual tools that you can use and you can practice, improving your toolbox. It is also about understanding that learning survives imperfect moments. And I would go a step further and say that sometimes it even thrives in those imperfect moments.
Mhm. Yeah, those are some of our funniest things that we recall over and over again are the days that are just like utter and complete disasters. They're the ones that really implant a core memory one way or another. So
Yeah, but I mean, even if you want to go deeper, maybe it doesn't end up being a fun core memory, but I can almost guarantee that if you're listening to this and you like our aesthetic, You hope that your children grow up and think, when shit hits the fan, I say, I'm sorry, and this is how we're going to fix it. I don't do like my Uncle Joe did and throw a huge hissy fit like a toddler and chuck a chair across the room and then blame everyone else and maybe throw a punch on the way out of the house. In those imperfect moments, you can handle it in a way that you model for your kids what you wanted when you were growing up.
Mhm.
And we have that chance. There's so much. We're in our book club that we're doing over on Patreon. We've been talking about this book that we're reading and all of these things. And we've talked a lot about the fact that we parent differently now. A lot of people are working really hard to break generational trauma. And this is part of that. You can be real as long as you handle those real moments in a healthy way and you do your best to recover. We're going to talk about that more later on in the episode.
Yeah. So does this mean if you're impatient, you're doing it quote unquote wrong? Does this mean if you ever feel irritated, rushed, overwhelmed, or snappy, that homeschooling must not be for you? Right?
God, I hope not. I have to stop. I'm done. Sorry, Meagan. Good luck.
I'm having flashbacks to that episode when you were in Italy with your kiddo and the water bottles, and he didn't pick up the water bottles, and it devolved into kicking water bottles down the stairs and being like, pick up the goddamn water bottles, right? Like, that would have been, that was your last day homeschooling. Okay.
Yep. I'm done.
Yeah.
Broke the rules. Can't do it anymore.
Yeah, lost your homeschooling card, right?
Yep.
I mean, the reality is impatience is usually a signal of something else going on. So it could be mental load, things like that. I mean, the number of memes that I've seen friends post this month, because it's December, that are like, oh, I can't wait to see the look of surprise on my husband's face on Christmas morning when he sees what the kids got. They don't even know what's under the tree. It's like that was all the primary parent, usually, whether that's a mom or whoever that might be in your household. But whoever that primary parent is, that cognitive load can be a lot. We talked about it in last week's episode when Devin was on and we did our coaching session. And she was talking about, this is all on me. I work, I have the kids, I have the house, I have scheduling, I have the dog, like all this stuff. It's a lot. So typically impatience is when that stuff just reaches a boiling point and it's just too much. Another thing that I think happens sometimes is the mismatch of expectation versus reality. And those stupid influencers, sorry, I'm going back there, right? They're not helping the situation because they're there in this perfect outfit making homemade goldfish crackers while their kids are reading Shakespeare. And you're like, well, that's not how my house looks. So you start to get down on yourself. You start to spiral. You start to think you're failing. And then next thing you know, you're kicking water bottles down the stairs. Like whatever. Not that that was the cause that day, right? But these things happen where you're like losing your ever loving shit because the expectation and the reality doesn't match. So take a step back and figure out, what is a reasonable reality for us? What do I want my reality to look like? It might not even be that you want that thing, but because it's in your face all the time, it kind of implants in your subconscious. And then next thing you know, you're holding yourself to this standard that number one isn't real and number two doesn't fit you. So having that awareness and taking that step back. But a lot of times we're just drowning, that to take a moment to take that step back is like, I don't even have time to do that sometimes. I was working on something this week and I did kind of the setup for it. It was something for my husband for his business and whatever. And he had asked me for help doing part of the setup work for it. And I'm like, okay. And then I got the setup done and I passed it off to him. And I was like, but you're going to have to manage this now. I have so much other stuff on my plate. And when I tell you, he could not have fucked it up anymore. It's not even funny. But I'm like, I can't manage this for you. I already have too much on my plate. You're a big boy. You're going to have to figure this out, my friend. So I can't, because otherwise I'm going to lose my shit. And I'm just like, not my problem. Another thing could be lack of support or structure. So we've talked a lot about structure before on the podcast, and I have thoughts about structure. We did a whole episode about rethinking structure in homeschooling, but sometimes it's not necessarily structure, meaning like I have this hourly color-coded schedule and we stick to it, and that's the only thing keeping my sanity intact. But it could even just be logical processes that are in place in your home. Like for us, Tuesday is laundry day. And for right now, one of my kids is taking the laundry to the laundromat. We live in Europe. We don't have a dryer. It's cold. It's wet. The clothes will never dry. So he goes to the laundromat on Tuesdays. That's the day. Well, the first couple of weeks he went to the laundromat, it was like this huge drum dryer. And we were getting some of our socks back. And my daughter, who wears underwear that's like basically a phone charger and like a Band-Aid attached to it. Like I don't even, what's the point? Like I just don't even get it, right? I mean, hello, those are getting sucked up into the washing machine and the dryer like nothing because they are nothing. And so she was like, I'm never getting any of my underwear back. And I was like, okay, fine. So I'm like, well, hold on a second. Everybody was getting really frustrated by the fact that they were always short on socks and underwear and stuff was missing. So I'm like, okay, let me just get some little mesh baggies. And during this season of things have to go to the laundromat, we'll put the things that are getting sucked up into the dryer, into the mesh baggies, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be structure in the traditional sense, but it's just a matter of identifying something that's causing you stress, that's causing an overall fraying among you or your household and being like, okay, let's just put a process into place to kind of fix that thing. So it could be a number of things. It's not in my initial set of notes for the podcast too, but impatience can also be a signal of hunger in our household. Hunger is a real thing. And so, yeah, sometimes we all get hangry. And so it's okay. Have a snack. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that
Oh,
is one of those, like, identify it. It, I don't know, probably about a year ago was the first time that my kid turned to my husband and said, I'm hangry and I can't do that with you right now because I'm hangry and I will regret what happens next. And my husband was like, can you believe he just said that to me? And I was like, no, I'm so proud. And my husband was like,
yeah.
I can't believe he just said that. We took it to two totally different ways. Like the Asian man who's like, I don't know how I feel about my child saying that to an elder. And the mom that's like, look at him expressing his emotional needs and being clear about where he's at.
Exactly. Yeah, we went to the same spot, me and you, but I could totally see how that would not work out otherwise. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So the other thing to remember too, I think, is that school teachers aren't inherently more patient. I mean, there might be a little piece of like, if you have a certain personality type, you might be drawn towards certain careers, but there's a few things that I think we need to keep in mind. Number one, school teachers are quitting in droves. It's an epidemic issue at this point. They're burnt out. And I think if you polled a slew of teachers about job satisfaction, you'd see numbers that are similar to the orange buffoon living on Pennsylvania Avenue's approval ratings. Or perhaps I should say disapproval ratings. And take into account that teachers are quitting in droves and thoroughly dissatisfied on such a high level, and they're burnt out and all of this stuff. And they have, to an extent, institutional boundaries in place. They have start and stop times. And we know, listen, we're very pro teacher. We know teachers are there before the bell. They're there after the bell. They're putting in time outside of school hours. They are working through their free period. Like we know all of that, right? But that little bit of structure that does kind of sort of exist, it's still not helping with the burnout and the job satisfaction and all that kind of stuff. And they're part of a team. They have other adults present who are all in the same boat as them. You do not. It's you, yourself, and you for the most part. I mean, if you have a supportive partner, that's awesome. A lot of homeschool people don't necessarily have that. They might have a partner who's just kind of like, that's your territory, that's your thing. And so you're feeling this weight, like it's all on me to make sure that these kids grow up, have the skills that they need, they're happy, they function as adults in society. Like, holy cow, that's a lot of pressure. And public school teachers, most of whom are super duper loving and caring and supportive, they care, but it's not in the same way of the third grade teacher isn't necessarily worrying about this kid getting into college and following through on every single third grader she's ever taught going to college. They're not carrying that weight the same way you as a parent are.
Yeah, no, that's true. Well, and can we talk about who is excluded when we adopt this mindset that only people with infinite patience can properly homeschool? That belief may quietly exclude neurodivergent parents. It can exclude parents under extreme stress for any number of reasons. It can exclude working or caregiving parents who are just burnt out and trying to juggle it all. And it's that thing. They say you can have it all, but you can't hold all of the balls at the same time. It can exclude parents with chronic illness. When I'm having really bad weeks, when my flares have gone on and on and on, I 100% have less patience. And I have to make sure that I communicate that with my entire home, not just the kiddo that I homeschool, to make sure that they understand where I'm at and how much I can give. And hopefully, they also give me a little bit more grace in those moments because I'm doing the best I can. But right now, my best doesn't look anything like it does otherwise.
I actually had a funny situation that I'm just reminded of by what you said, and it didn't pop into my head until just now. But I had a situation right at the start of the pandemic when everybody was like, what the hell is going on? We're all like beyond overwhelmed and confused. And what do we do? And all that kind of stuff. So I was teaching on Outschool, as I still do, and I was teaching a cooking class, a live cooking class. And we were making matzo ball soup in class. It was part of my A Taste of Judaism series where we make all these different foods. Anyway, this kid shows up to class, and we're talking like March 2020, like early days of the pandemic. Kids are just at home. People are like, what the hell is going on? This kid shows up. Now there's a supply list for the class. You were supposed to have like matzah meal. You needed an onion, a carrot, like all this stuff. Kid shows up and goes, are we cooking something? He was like, my mom signed me up and told me to be here at 3:00. Like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
So this kid, let me tell you, he was taking class in his laundry room, first of all, because everybody had been sent home. There was nowhere for him to go because everybody needed a quiet space. This kid made my whole day. I mean, we're 5 years later, more than 5 years later, and I still remember this to this day because I would be like, all right, everybody, we're going to put this in our pot and stir it. And the kid's in the laundry room and he grabs a bucket and a broom handle and he starts pretending to make soup. It was freaking genius. I mean, he was like a master improv performer in a cooking class that he had no idea he was signed up for. And so later that day, I had posted something in this Outschool teacher community group. And I was like, without violating confidentiality or the kids' privacy or anything like that, I kind of told the story. So later that day, this teacher posts in like the main Outschool parent group and was like, parents, it's essential that your kids show up to class with everything they need because it's really disruptive and blah, blah, blah. And this mom replied and was like, listen, I'm caring for my elderly mother. My business is going down the drain as we speak. I'm doing my best, dude. Chill out.
And no stores are even open to be able to go
Right.
buy the crap that you've got on your list. So kiss my ass. I mean,
Exactly right. So somebody that I know puts it together, like my post from the teaching group and this mom, and figures out that this is the parent of the kid making faux soup in the laundry room.
Aw.
And she tags me and I go, oh my gosh. I go, your kid made my whole day, week. I mean, here we are 5.5 years, almost 6 years later, and I'm still talking about this, right? But the mom was like, I am doing my best. Like, just leave me alone. Like I can't. And I'm like, the reality is we had the best time in class and the kid was totally fine. So don't stress. It's okay. It's all going to be okay. I mean, the level of genius that it takes to be that spontaneous is like so like, I love the kid. Never had him in class again. Literally spent 2 hours with the kid almost 6 years ago. And I'm still like, amazing, So yeah, I mean, those parents that are caregiving, that are burnt out, that are spread thin, that are working, like they're doing their best. It's okay. Your kids are going to be awesome. It's going to be fine. So
yeah. And here I am like, every once in a while, I'm like, could that genius just dial itself back a little bit? Could you just pick up the pencil and the paper and just circle a letter, A, B, C, or D? That was excellent improv. Just circle a fucking letter. Again, patience, not always my strong suit.
Yeah. So I am guilty of the gentle parenting household. So my youngest kiddo has ARFID, which is a food restriction disorder for anybody who doesn't know. And he only eats a handful of foods, right? Safe foods. And I get we have no food in the house. Meanwhile, the fridge is full. Like you can barely open the freezer, like whatever. I'll go, okay, well, every time I go to the store or order from the store, I ask you what you need. So what do you need? Because usually you don't tell me you need anything. well, we need this. I said, okay, well, if you know you're running low on that thing, like you could always tell me in advance. And he's 14 and the kid's like an absolute genius. So I'm like, you could tell me in advance and I could pick it up. He goes, it's a binary system. We either have the food or we don't have the food. And I'm like, in my own head, I'm like, this is why I'm so tired all the time. Right? Like, does it have to be a binary system? So yeah. Okay. So good. All right. So anyway, here's the deal. I have been involved in education in some capacity or another for 20 years. When I did the math, writing my notes, I'm like, 20 years. So I do not have a degree in education and I never worked as a student teacher. My first 10 years were in corporate education. And so it was all adult learning principles and training and stuff like that. So I did not do college for education. I did not student teach. However, I am willing to go out on a limb and say that there's likely no course in the college curriculum or during the student teaching thing that's like, here's how we impart patience upon you. And here's how you practice patience. And here's what that looks like all day long. And that's because it's not a teaching skill. Okay. Yeah, it's just not, right? So what are the skills that our kiddos may need from us in order to learn and succeed? And I say may because we all know how different every kid is and how homeschooling rocks because we can adapt to however our kid learns best, etc. So if you're listening to this list and only one or two resonate with you, don't stress. It's fine. Take what serves you and leave the rest. It's totally cool. And then your kid's going to adapt and change and go through puberty or whatever else. And then what serves them is going to change and you're going to have to adapt and change. And it's fun. It's super fun. So things like clear expectations, letting them know what's expected of them. And even just something as simple as like sometimes as teenagers, like they'll need to make a phone call to a place to try to reserve something or book something. We don't realize necessarily how foreign that is to them, especially for these kids that grew up in app land where there's an app for everything and you book stuff. To make a phone call and to have that smooth flow on the phone, sometimes it literally takes like, here's what you can expect them to ask you before you make this phone call and setting expectations for things. And that's just a really tiny example. Predictable routines and rhythms. If you tell the kiddo that we're doing XYZ today and then they wake up and they're starting XYZ and you're like, what are you doing that for? We're working on ABC. It's like, how the hell was I supposed to know that? You told me XYZ. I mentally prepared for XYZ. Now you're telling me ABC. So they need to know what's going on. They can't necessarily shift on the fly all the time. At the same time, they do need some flexibility, and so do you, to where they're like, well, I'm kind of knee deep in XYZ. Is this cool? And you're like, okay, we can do ABC tomorrow. It's okay. A really big one in place of patience is something that we'll call repair after rupture. So when you have a Mount Vesuvius type moment, talk about it after the fact. Let them know, wasn't my best moment. Here's how I got there. I'm sorry. You can apologize. It's okay. You're quote unquote allowed to apologize to your kids. Should be apologizing to your kids. If you've done something wrong, it works in both directions. And then another thing is just modeling self-regulation, not perfection. Nobody expects you to be perfect. Nobody expects you to be a robot, but just doing your best to model self-regulation. If you know that hangry sets you off, try to figure out the night before, what are my 3 meals going to be tomorrow? Maybe I need to defrost something. Maybe I need to have something at the ready. We're going to be super busy all day long. Putting some empanadas in the air fryer at lunchtime is going to be all I've got time for, but it'll keep me from getting hangry. Just some sort of process in place to try to ward off some of that stuff.
Yeah. So today's episode is about how we, as the adult in the situation, do not have to be perfect. And patience is not the primary requirement for homeschooling. But also, let's just take a quick minute to say that we would like to raise children who are not assholes. And to that end, our next book club has officially been decided in January 2026. We are starting with How to Raise Kids Who Aren't Assholes, Science-Based Strategies for Better Parenting from Tots to Teens by Melinda Moyer. I'm terrible with names. I'm so sorry. Here we are. I didn't call her Wiener because I'm pretty sure it's not that, but I don't really know. Like, my names are not good. Melinda Moyer with a middle name in there, or maybe a hyphenated last name. Again, I'm really not sure. But the important part is the book is called How to Raise Kids Who Aren't Assholes. And we will be reading that in our book club over on Patreon. If you would like to join us, we would love to have you over there. It should be a good one. I'm very optimistic.
And speaking of not focusing on perfection, if you don't read the book, you can still show up to book club. There's plenty of people who do it. And we don't judge them because we're not assholes either. So come, we'll tell you about the book. If you come and you haven't read about it, we'll just chat about it and you can interject wherever you want, be a fly on the wall, cook dinner, fold laundry. I mean, people literally do all of these things. These are the examples that I'm giving you because this is what happens in book club. So come join us.
Yeah, no, when I lived in Seattle, I started a book club that was a New York Times bestseller book club because in Seattle, I felt like I was always in these situations where people were talking about the big name books, and none of them were really genres that I wanted to read, but I wanted to be able to at least pretend like I had read them and be able to talk intelligently about them. So I started a book club where everyone else read the book, and then we came together and we talked about it, and I had discussion questions for it, and I just encouraged them to talk about the book. So they told me about the book and then I never had to actually read it. It was perfect. It was amazing.
I pulled something like that off at the grocery store the other day. So my daughter comes up to the shopping cart and she's got a package of persimmons in her hand. And I've never bought persimmons because it's just not been like part of our fruit rotation. And she's like, oh, I saw something on Pinterest and all this kind of stuff. So she starts telling me all this stuff about persimmons, like when they're in season and how you know if they're ripe and all that kind of stuff. We get up to the register and the lady is scanning them and she goes, oh, I love these. They remind me of my childhood. And I go, oh, and now's the perfect time of year, the season and all this. And I start spouting off all the stuff that my daughter just said, but like I was some sort of persimmon expert. And I give her like a side eye and she's like, you just stole all my persimmon. I'm like, I sure did. And I passed them off as my own. I acted like I'm a total persimmon expert.
Yep.
So we were cracking up. It was good.
Yep. All right. So what is patience not? Okay. We've talked about all kinds of things, but there's some important distinctions here. Patience is not emotional regulation. Patience is not a calm tone 100% of the time. Patience isn't unlimited capacity. You can be direct. You can be firm. You can be structured, unless you're Meagan in Meagan's house, and then you can't be structured. You can have and hold boundaries and still be a good homeschool parent or caregiver. You can have all of these things. They do not mean that you are lacking in patience or that you're not doing it correctly.
I resent the structure comment because did you not just hear the point about Tuesday being laundry day? Like, clearly.
Clearly, loads of structure in your home.
Okay, then.
I mean, in fairness, my family would just be happy if we had a laundry day. So you do have that on me.
Yeah, but it ties in with our minimalist thing. Everybody only has 7 shirts and 7 pairs of pants. So there has to be a laundry day. You have enough to get you through much longer. We do not.
Yeah. And I'm like, running low. Could do laundry. Could order some more underwear for delivery. I'll order more underwear for delivery.
Oh my gosh, I'm telling you. Okay. So this whole patience and homeschooling thing, why is it harmful? Remember what I was saying a bit ago about shiny influencers? You might not remember. Maybe I wasn't firm enough in my statement, but I really fucking hate them. Okay. So
are you having a week? Has there been a couple of influencers who have really gotten under your skin, or is it just the holiday season and influencers? And you're like, look, no one is that perfect.
One in particular, and you know exactly who it is. Okay. Okay. Not only do they annoy me because they're like, ugh, like so ick, right? But they're harmful. I'm sorry, but they are. They keep parents who are just being humans, perfectly typical, average, functioning, caring parent humans, and put them into this shame cycle because they can't live up to this expectation that this person has set out there that they make look so easy breezy perfect. And I'm not talking about I don't give a shit. I've been homeschooling for 10 years. Like, we're complete hippies. Like, I'm not trying to live up to that expectation. It's not me putting out there like that I feel bad because I do not care. So not that, but I watch it from the perspective of being like, why are you putting this crap out there? Why are, because they're making money. That's why they're doing it. But anyway, I digress. Now, obviously, as we said earlier, when it comes to shame cycles, we need to draw a very distinct line between ongoing abuse and the occasional short, snappy moment. We do not condone abuse, clearly. Okay, so this mindset of perfection and patience and all of this, I think discourages people sometimes from asking for help, which is also harmful because it's like, well, I don't want to be the person who says, this is a hot mess in my house and risk having 8 people sitting around a coffee table at a homeschool group look at me and be like, what do you mean that's a mess in your house? You haven't figured that out? What a shit mother you are. What a shit parent you are. And so people are nervous when the reality is, I think if a lot of people put some more of that stuff out there, they'd realize like, we're all in the same boat. People are just afraid to talk about it, which is part of the reason we talk about it here. You're not alone. Okay. I think some of those people that are putting that narrative out there push people to quit homeschooling when they don't need to quit homeschooling because they're thinking, I'm not doing a good job. I'm failing my kids because our homeschool does not look like this thing. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
That person's homeschool doesn't look like that thing either. It's just that they're
Exactly.
only showing you a very select part of it. And the other thing is it kind of reinforces this idea that homeschool parents have to be better in some way than other parents because we've chosen, or as Amanda indicated earlier, sometimes been forced into based upon circumstances or whatever the case might be, that we've been kind of put in this position. And so we chose this, we opted for this in some way, shape, or form. And so now we have to be perfect all the time because this is what we asked for. And the reality is it doesn't make you a better parent. It doesn't protect your kids. It doesn't make your kids more successful. It just protects unrealistic ideals and probably causes a lot more stress in your life than needs to be there.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right. So, what actually matters more than patience? Okay. So, you've hung in there, you've listened to us talk about all these different things, and you're like, yep, I get it. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'm there. But, like, how? How do I make sure that I'm not berating myself for losing my shit? What do I do? So, all right. I'm going to apologize right now. I'm about to get on my soapbox. You have been warned. If you have been spending time angsting over your lack of patience, or you haven't jumped into homeschooling because you're worried you don't have enough patience to succeed, let's talk about what actually matters. Being a perfect patient robot is not the goal. Okay? We're not looking for a Stepford wife. We are modeling real emotions and real healthy resolutions. That's the goal. Okay. So, what does that actually look like? We're talking repair. Meagan mentioned it earlier. Please do not be apprehensive to apologize to your children. So often, there's this cultural divide where you didn't apologize to kids. That's old school thinking. Don't be afraid or apprehensive about apologizing to your children. Techniques like resetting and trying again, and being understanding when one or more people aren't ready for that yet. There's this great Daniel Tiger episode about this where they've said, I'm sorry. They've asked what they can do next. And the other one is like, I hear it. I appreciate that you've said it, but I'm not freaking ready to hang out with you yet. I'm still upset and I need time, right? I totally made my husband watch it. It didn't work with him as well as it did with the kiddo. I'm just saying, but it's important to try. This also looks like adaptability. Again, we mentioned it earlier in the episode, changing plans when something isn't working, whether it's big changes or little changes, that self-awareness of knowing that you need to make a change or knowing that you need to take a break and verbalizing and normalizing it. Please, please, please model these skills with your kiddos. When you, as the adult, are getting overwhelmed, you can 100% say, I am getting really overwhelmed and I'm afraid I'm going to say something that I'll wish I hadn't said. So I'm going to go in my bedroom for a couple of minutes and snuggle in my blankets and just calm down, and I'll be back. If you verbalize those things and you model that for your kiddos, they're going to be far more likely to do it themselves. This is breaking that generational trauma, like we were talking about earlier in the episode. Systems. Again, we mentioned this before, but what does that mean? Okay, we're talking about routines that reduce friction instead of relying on mood. So this looks like a lot of different things depending on your home. Maybe it's Alexa or smartwatch reminders, so it doesn't feel like you're always nagging your kids. Maybe it's a commitment between you and the kids that you will always provide a verbal transition warning. You know, that whole like 5 more minutes announcement that we make before we ask them to start something else. Or maybe it's instead of being frustrated that your kiddo always shows up to the door to leave without socks or shoes, and you're like, I told you to get dressed. Where the hell are your socks? Maybe you move the socks to a cute bin next to the door and you just plan to all put your socks on together and then put your shoes on together right before you leave the house. Systems are just routines that reduce friction and or just frustration for everyone involved. There's no need to fight it. Put a system in place that helps eliminate some of those pain points.
Mm-hmm. I'm a huge fan of systems.
I'm shocked. You and your gentle parenting. In fairness, I am too. Maybe not so good at actually following through with them. Like, okay, I asked 4 times. Now I've just lost my shit. Okay, the last one that I just want to point out is boundaries. This looks like ending lessons before resentment builds, or even just the frustration point. If you know that your kiddo can only do math for 30 minutes before they start getting tired and making mistakes and getting frustrated, create that boundary for them.
Mm-hmm.
Help them realize it, create it for them, and then empower them to create those boundaries for themselves. It could be something like being clear about what times you can and can't help with schoolwork. If you know that you have to chop a bunch of vegetables and prep this meal and you won't be able to do all of it and make dinner while also talking to your kiddo about X, Y, or Z, tell them at the beginning of the day, I am happy to help you, but I have a hard stop at this time on the clock because I have things that I have to be able to focus on. Those are okay. Those kinds of
Mm-hmm.
boundaries, they are healthy. And it's important to show your kids, again, you're modeling skills they need to be able to have. It might be something like saying, I will help you with ELA, math, and history, but you need to go to dad for science experiments and chess because not my thing, right? Like I don't want you to fail. I want to help you, but I dread those things. So they have been outsourced. Please don't bring me the chess board game. I don't want to do it. Forcing yourself to do things that make you unhappy are not going to be good for any of you. So again, create these healthy boundaries, verbalize them, be clear with them. That is what you're looking for in effective homeschooling, not endless patience, not a constant calm tone that always keeps everything beige, right? Boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, stepping off of my
Oh,
soapbox now.
I was just saying, I feel like we both got a lot off our chests today because I got to complain about influencers and you got to get on your soapbox. So it's been a good day.
Yeah.
I like it. I'll take it. Ah, deep breath. It's good stuff. All right. Before we get to today's mantra, if we could ask one favor, please. Wherever you hang out in the cyber world, would you give us a like and a follow? The world is built on algorithms, and the only way people find our podcast is if people like and follow and share and all that. We got a badge from Spotify this year in our Spotify Wrapped, which, yes, we know Spotify has all sorts of political noise around it right now. And The wrapped concept has sketchiness around. We get it. We get it. But we didn't ask for it. It just showed up. So it's just there. But we got a most shared badge this year, which was super exciting. So we're like, yay, we love it when people most share. So exciting times. But the more progressive, secular homeschoolers we can find and be like, you are not alone. We love that. So yes, please like, follow, share, leave a review, find us on Instagram, find us on Facebook, wherever you hang out. I guarantee you we're there. Let's be friends. Let's do this again sometime.
Yeah. No, that's it. I mean, parents and caregivers who are secular, progressive homeschoolers, they are desperate for community. It doesn't matter if you live in a blue state or a red state, just feeling like you have a place where you really fit in and that kind of connection and that sense of like, I'm going to check out and spend a little bit of time with other people who get it. Like they're desperate for it. So, just help them find it. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. All right, so let's wrap up with our mantra for the day, which is kids don't need endlessly patient adults. They need regulated ones who repair. So don't beat yourself up. If you have a moment, we all have moments. Repair, move on. Put a system
Yep.
in place to try to prevent it from happening again. But something else will happen then. And then you'll repair and you'll move on. It's okay, right? It's all good. So go forth with whatever level of patience you have available at your disposal today. Have a good meal to try and prevent hunger and happy homeschooling.
Yeah. Have a great one.